This is Mark Bell, and I'm going to teach you why it's important to never, ever stop learning. What I'm here to talk to you about today is knowledge. The only people on the planet that are truly hungry for knowledge are usually children, because children are in a discovery phase. And they're trying to learn about what hurts, what doesn't hurt, what works, what doesn't work, what they like, what they don't like, and things of that nature. But as we get older, we get more resistant to learning. And you should never stop learning. I personally think that there's two things that kill people's education. One is going to school. And number two is going to a university. University is a little different because at least you get to select some of the things that you like. But a big driver for education, a big driver for people's success is their interest level. So if you don't have a high interest level in what it is you're trying to learn about, the odds of you learning about it are going to be low. I was informed as a young kid that I had a learning disability. I grew up thinking that I had this problem. And really, truly, when I look back at it, I don't have any problem because I can learn any and everything. I may learn differently than the next person, but who doesn't? We all learn very differently, right? What I had was inadequate teachers. And I'm not trying to place the blame over to them and place the responsibility over to them. But as a young kid, I didn't know what to do. I thought that what they were telling me was true. I believed them. They're like, say, hey, you got a learning disability. You can't learn the same way as the other kids. And I was like, oh, okay. So my learning even took a harder dive than your average person's learning. But you should always be striving to figure out ways of getting better. And when I'm talking about getting better, I'm talking about solving problems. That's really what life is all about, is problem solving. A person that you're going to consider a genius, they're just able to solve a lot of problems for themselves. A person that you consider to be successful, they're just able to solve a lot of problems for themselves. A person that you admire, that might be well off or happy or successful or any of these things, they probably just have solved problems for themselves. You know, making more money solves the problem of not having much money. It's a simple thing to think about, not a simple thing to execute, because you may have to think, okay, well, crap, how am I going to figure out ways of gaining more money? Well, then you might have to think to yourself, I need to provide more value to the market. I need to provide more value to people. And then what market are you in? What people are you serving? It starts with serving yourself, and it starts with learning, and it starts with knowledge. The root of all success and the root of all happiness starts with problem solving. Let's just say you're super hungry. You're really, really, really super duper hungry. Well, you solve the problem of being super hungry by eating. And then you're happy, right? If you were okay with not having a lot of money, then it wouldn't be a problem, right? You following me? You still on page 43? If you were like really frustrated and upset and you couldn't figure out a way to make these payments, and you couldn't figure out how to keep a roof over your head for you and your family, and you were disgusted by the fact that you just didn't think that you had enough value, couldn't provide enough value, then you'd have to stop and think, this is a problem for me. How do I solve this problem? Once you solve the problem, you will be happier. So does money solve problems? Not necessarily. Not for everybody. It can. Money can solve a lot of things. Having the financial freedom to want to go and do certain things and then to be able to go and do it is fantastic. But I think what's kind of misconstrued in there is that if you have problems, other problems in your life besides the finances, if you have deeply rooted issues, if you got a hole in your heart, if you have holes in your game, if you just feel like an incomplete person, there's not a person, there's not a thing, money or things being said to you, that can change the way that you feel. The way that you feel is going to be partially determined by or massively determined by your ability to solve problems. How do you solve problems? You solve problems with more knowledge. The more that you know, the more that you can grow. And the more that you know, the more you are growing. I filter what I feel is important. I make sense of what I feel is important. I make sense of what I feel is going to work for me, with my values, with my body, with my schedule, with my family life. I tweak it, I observe it, I try it, I put it into practice, and I work at it, and then boom. You working towards being wealthy isn't going to make you any happier. And they are correct, because those are external things. Massively important that you never stop learning. What are you reading? What are you consuming? What are you digesting? Consuming and digesting, let's think about that for a second. What's something that's in your feed, right? Your feed. Is it all relatively healthy? Is it all going to be stuff that can help you gain more knowledge? Or is it strictly entertainment? It's okay if it's entertainment, because entertainment can help us relax. And we do need to relax. We know this. We need to relax. If you have the ability to relax and unplug and decompress, even if it is through social media, I would say that having fun is a key component to health. Having some fun and doing some of the things that you want to do sometimes is important in life. But I'd also say that too much of that can be destructive. As I would say, you also trying to be the ultimate learning machine nonstop 24 hours a day might be destructive, because then for you might not be having any fun. Making sense? But again, if I go back to what I said in the beginning with interest, if you're interested in becoming the ultimate learning machine, at this point, that's my main interest. I have other interests. I have other interests in my family, and I have interests in other things, but my interest first and foremost, above everything, including my family, is to have more knowledge so I can serve them better, so I can be a better dad, so I can be a better husband, so I can be a better friend, so I could be a better disciplinarian, so I can be better at every single thing that I do. That's what I'm looking to do. They say knowledge is power, right? Well, you think about, what does that really mean? Well, if you have the right amount of knowledge, you can rule an entire category. If you have more knowledge than the next strength coach, you can probably provide more value, and therefore, because you're providing more value, you most likely will be able to make more money, move up the ladder faster, open up your own place. You'll have more freedom. So a lot of times the knowledge that you have can give you a lot of freedom. It can teach you, I think, one of the most important things that you could ever really learn. It can teach you that most of what's going on in your life is simply about trying to interpret how to solve problems. Hopefully you guys can understand the importance of continuing your education. I've mentioned I haven't had a great time with school. School is one thing, but education is something completely different. Education is the things that you're interested in, you burying your head in those things, in whatever way you need to get better at them, in whatever way you need to do to continue to learn about them. I think maybe some people don't understand that that's what I've done with nutrition. That's what I've done with training. I have dove into these things since I was 13 years old. And I've been reading articles, and I've been reading books and rubbing elbows with the best since that time, and now I'm 43, so 30 years of doing that. It wasn't on and off either, it was on the whole time. And then that's what led to the Slingshot. That's what led to having a multi-million-dollar business. That's what led to me squatting 1,080, me benching 854, deadlifting 766, being a 2-time United States patent holder. And I have other patents that we're working on right now. That doesn't have to do with me being great. That has to do with me gaining knowledge. It doesn't even have to do with me working hard, because working hard is just it's a perception. Working hard compared to what? Compared to who? I do put in work, but it's really not work because I'm interested in it. And because I know that gaining the knowledge is gonna give me fuel to be able to problem solve, even in something like squatting 1,000 pounds. Or, hey, was getting the slingshot hard? You know, was getting a patent for the slingshot hard? No, not really. It did take a long time though. It took time. But there's nothing hard about it because it was a byproduct of years and years of training. And it was a way for me to solve a problem that I recognized in the marketplace. And then therefore led to this big old giant building. It's nothing, I'm not trying to brag about anything, it's just an example. And then no one can put a limit on what you can know and learn. No one can put a limit on how much money you can make. Are there people that have more knowledge than me? Are there people that provide a lot more value to the marketplace? Hell yeah, there is. You need to continue to work on gaining knowledge. And you need to always be continuing to want to read and listen to podcasts and things of that nature. If you guys want to know and learn more, if you guys want to try to figure out and find out where you can learn more about this, do some simple searches on YouTube and look up personal development. Now, you might see a lot of rah-rah motivational stuff in there, but if you're paying attention, like I have over the years, you'll hear little whispers here and there of great information that can help you gain more knowledge, to help you solve more problems, to help you get to where you want to go to. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. Catch you all later.